Singapore's transformation from a small, resource-poor island to a global powerhouse is a story of against-all-odds success. In the early 1960s, this tiny nation faced seemingly insurmountable challenges. With no natural resources, a diverse population prone to ethnic tensions, and a precarious geopolitical position, Singapore's future looked bleak. The country had just gained independence from British rule and was subsequently expelled from the Federation of Malaysia. This sudden thrust into self-governance left Singapore vulnerable and its leaders scrambling for solutions. The initial conditions were far from favorable. Singapore lacked basic infrastructure, struggled with high unemployment rates, and had a population largely unskilled and undereducated. Housing was inadequate, with many residents living in slums and squatter settlements. The port, while strategically located, was underdeveloped and faced fierce competition from neighboring countries. Political instability loomed large, with communist influences threatening to derail any progress. These early challenges seemed to predict a future of struggle and mediocrity at best. How could a country with no hinterland, no water resources, and no established industries hope to compete on the global stage? The odds were stacked against Singapore, and many international observers wrote off its chances of survival as an independent nation. Yet, it was precisely these dire circumstances that fueled the determination of Singapore's early leaders. They recognized that the country's only hope lay in its people and in radical, innovative thinking. The absence of natural resources meant that human capital would be the key to Singapore's survival and growth. This realization set the stage for one of the most remarkable national transformations in modern history. As we delve deeper into Singapore's journey, we must ask ourselves, what does it take for a nation to overcome such overwhelming odds? How can strategic planning and visionary leadership turn weaknesses into strengths? The pre-transformation scenario of Singapore serves as a stark reminder of how far the country has come, and prompts us to consider the potential lying dormant in other struggling nations today. The story of Singapore's rise challenges our assumptions about what is possible in nation-building. It forces us to reconsider the role of government in shaping a country's destiny and the power of long-term planning in overcoming seemingly insurmountable obstacles. As we explore the decisions and strategies that propelled Singapore from third world to first, we are compelled to ask, could this model be replicated elsewhere? What unique factors contributed to Singapore's success, and what universal lessons can be drawn from its experience? Singapore's transformation didn't happen overnight. It was the result of careful planning, bold decision-making, and a willingness to take calculated risks. The country's leaders understood that they had to think differently and act decisively. They had to create something from nothing, turning Singapore's vulnerabilities into opportunities for growth and innovation. As we move forward in this exploration, keep in mind the enormity of the task that faced Singapore's early leaders. Consider the courage required to implement radical policies in the face of uncertainty and opposition. Reflect on the vision needed to see potential where others saw only limitations. Singapore's story is not just about economic growth, it's about the power of human ingenuity and determination to shape a nation's destiny against all odds. Singapore's meteoric rise from a struggling post-colonial outpost to a global economic powerhouse was not a matter of chance. It was the result of a series of bold, often controversial decisions that fundamentally reshaped the nation's trajectory. At the heart of this transformation was a group of visionary leaders, chief among them Lee Kuan Yew, who dared to imagine a future for Singapore that few others could see. The first of these revolutionary strategies was the decision to pivot towards an export-oriented industrialization model. This move was counterintuitive at a time when many developing nations were focusing on import substitution. Singapore's leaders recognized that their small domestic market could not sustain growth, so they aggressively courted foreign investment and multinational corporations. This strategy required creating an environment that was uniquely attractive to international businesses, low corruption, efficient infrastructure, and a skilled workforce. Another pivotal decision was the implementation of a bilingual education policy. Recognizing the importance of English as the language of international business, while also preserving cultural ties through mother tongue languages, Singapore mandated bilingual education for all students. This policy not only prepared Singaporeans for the global market but also helped to forge a unique national identity. The government's approach to public housing was equally transformative. The Housing Development Board, HDB, was established to provide affordable, quality housing for all Singaporeans. This initiative not only solved the immediate housing crisis but also became a tool for social engineering, promoting racial integration and fostering a sense of belonging and ownership among citizens. Perhaps one of the most controversial yet effective policies was the strict control over public behavior and social norms. From anti-littering campaigns to restrictions on chewing gum, the government took an active role in shaping societal values and behaviors. While criticized by some as authoritarian, these measures contributed to Singapore's reputation as a clean, orderly, and efficient city-state, attributes that proved attractive to foreign investors and tourists alike. The establishment of the Central Provident Fund, CPF, was another game-changing decision. This compulsory savings scheme not only provided for citizens' retirement but also became a powerful tool for national development, funding housing, healthcare, and education initiatives. In the realm of international relations, Singapore's leaders made the crucial decision to maintain neutrality while fostering strong ties with both the West and China. This balanced approach allowed Singapore to benefit from trade and security relationships, without becoming overly dependent on any single power. The creation of a corruption-free bureaucracy was a cornerstone of Singapore's transformation. By paying civil servants competitive salaries and implementing harsh penalties for corruption, the government created an efficient, trustworthy administration that became a model for other developing nations. These disruptive decisions were not without their critics. Many questioned the sustainability of such rapid change and the social costs of such stringent policies. Yet, the results speak for themselves. Singapore's leaders had the foresight to see that drastic measures were necessary to ensure the nation's survival and prosperity. As we reflect on these transformative decisions, we must ask ourselves, what is the right balance between individual freedoms and collective progress? How can nations implement necessary but unpopular policies while maintaining public support? Can Singapore's model of governance be adapted to other cultural and political contexts? The story of Singapore's transformation challenges our assumptions about development and governance. It raises important questions about the role of the state in driving economic growth and social change. As we continue to explore Singapore's journey, we must consider the long-term implications of these disruptive decisions and what they mean for the future of nation-building, in an increasingly complex global landscape. Singapore's ascent to global prominence is a testament to its ability to transform limitations into advantages. With no natural resources to speak of, the country's leaders made a pivotal decision to invest in and cultivate its most valuable asset, its people. This chapter explores how Singapore strategically identified and developed resources that would propel it to the forefront of the global economy. Human capital development became the cornerstone of Singapore's growth strategy. Recognizing that a skilled workforce would be crucial for attracting foreign investment and driving innovation, the government implemented a comprehensive education system. This system emphasized science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM, subjects, alongside a strong focus on English language proficiency. The result was a workforce capable of adapting to rapidly changing economic needs and technological advancements. Singapore's geographical location, once seen as a vulnerability, was reimagined as a strategic asset. The country leveraged its position at the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula to become a vital hub for global trade. Massive investments were poured into developing a world-class port, transforming Singapore into one of the busiest and most efficient maritime centers in the world. This move not only boosted the economy but also solidified Singapore's importance in global supply chains. Similarly, the development of Changi Airport into a major international air hub was a masterstroke. By creating a state-of-the-art facility and fostering a culture of excellence in service, Singapore turned air travel into a key economic driver, facilitating business, tourism, and cementing its position as a global connector. Water, or the lack thereof, posed an existential threat to Singapore's survival. In response, the country developed innovative solutions like NE-Water, a reclaimed water system, and invested heavily in desalination technology. This not only ensured water security but also positioned Singapore as a leader in water management technologies, creating a new export industry in the process. The nation's small size, rather than being a limitation, became an advantage in urban planning. Singapore developed a highly efficient, integrated urban ecosystem, showcasing sustainable living and smart city technologies. This expertise in urban solutions has become another valuable export, with cities worldwide seeking Singapore's advice on urban development. Financial services emerged as another critical resource. By establishing a reputation for stability, transparency, and innovation, Singapore attracted major financial institutions from around the world. The country's robust regulatory framework, coupled with its strategic location, transformed it into a premier financial hub, rivaling established centers like London and New York. Innovation and research became key focal points. Substantial investments in research and development, particularly in fields like biotechnology, artificial intelligence, and clean energy, positioned Singapore at the cutting edge of technological advancement. This not only diversified the economy but also ensured its relevance in the knowledge-based global economy of the future. Perhaps most remarkably, Singapore turned its multicultural society, once seen as a potential source of conflict, into a unique strength. By promoting racial harmony and leveraging its diverse cultural connections, Singapore became a bridge between East and West, an ideal location for multinational corporations seeking to expand their Asian operations. As we examine Singapore's strategic resource development, several questions emerge. How can other resource-poor nations replicate this model of turning vulnerabilities into strengths? What role does long-term planning play in resource development? Can a focus on human capital and innovation truly compensate for a lack of natural resources in the long run? Singapore's approach challenges conventional wisdom about what constitutes a valuable resource in the modern world. It demonstrates that with vision, determination, and strategic planning, perceived limitations can be transformed into powerful assets. The country's success in identifying and developing these non-traditional resources offers valuable lessons for nations grappling with similar challenges in an increasingly resource-constrained world. Singapore's transformation from a small, struggling island nation to a global powerhouse has had far-reaching implications on the world stage. This chapter examines the country's outsized influence on international affairs, economics, and governance models. In the geopolitical arena, Singapore has carved out a unique position as a neutral, yet influential player. Despite its small size, the country has become a respected voice in international forums, often punching above its weight in diplomatic circles. Singapore's ability to maintain positive relations with both Western powers and China has made it a crucial intermediary in Asia-Pacific affairs. This diplomatic agility has allowed Singapore to host high-profile international events, including the historic summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in 2018. Economically, Singapore's impact has been profound. The country's success as a financial hub has reshaped global capital flows. Its stock exchange, the SGX, has become a preferred listing destination for companies across Asia, while its banking sector has played a pivotal role in facilitating international trade and investment. Singapore's sovereign wealth funds, GIC and Temasek, are major players in global financial markets, with investments spanning continents and sectors. In the realm of trade, Singapore's strategic location and world-class port facilities have made it an indispensable node in global supply chains. The country's free trade policies and numerous bilateral and multilateral trade agreements have positioned it as a champion of open markets in an era of rising protectionism. Singapore's approach to trade has influenced regional economic integration, playing a key role in the formation and development of ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. The Singapore model of governance has become a subject of intense global interest and debate. Its blend of free market economics, strategic state intervention, and authoritarian governance has challenged Western assumptions about the relationship between economic development and political liberalization. Many developing nations, particularly in Asia and Africa, have looked to Singapore as an alternative model of development, sparking discussions about the universality of Western democratic ideals. In education, Singapore's schooling system consistently ranks among the world's best, attracting attention from policymakers globally. The country's approach to mathematics education, in particular, has been widely studied and emulated. Singapore has leveraged this reputation to become a regional education hub, attracting students from across Asia and beyond. The country's innovative urban solutions have had a significant impact on city planning worldwide. Singapore's expertise in areas such as public housing, water management, and sustainable urban development has been sought after by cities grappling with rapid urbanization and environmental challenges. The concept of a smart nation, pioneered by Singapore, has inspired similar initiatives around the globe. In the field of anti-corruption and public sector management, Singapore's strategies have been widely studied and adapted. Its approach to curbing corruption through a combination of strict laws, high salaries for public officials, and rigorous enforcement has influenced anti-corruption efforts in many countries. Singapore's success in healthcare, particularly its ability to provide high-quality care at relatively low costs, has attracted global attention. Its healthcare financing model, which emphasizes individual responsibility alongside government support, has been examined as a potential solution to the healthcare challenges faced by many developed nations. As we consider Singapore's global impact, several questions arise. Can Singapore maintain its influence as larger powers vie for dominance in the Asia-Pacific region? How sustainable is the Singapore model in an era of increasing demands for political liberalization? What lessons can other small states draw from Singapore's ability to exert influence on the global stage? Singapore's rise has challenged conventional wisdom about the role of small states in the international system. It demonstrates that with strategic thinking, efficient governance, and a clear vision, even a tiny nation can shape global trends and command respect on the world stage. As geopolitical and economic realities continue to shift, Singapore's ability to adapt and maintain its global influence will be closely watched by nations around the world. Singapore's transformation is not just a tale of qualitative change, it's a story told through staggering statistics and economic indicators that showcase the nation's meteoric rise. This chapter delves into the numbers that paint a vivid picture of Singapore's extraordinary journey from a developing nation to a global powerhouse. Perhaps the most striking figure is Singapore's GDP per capita growth. In 1965, at the time of independence, Singapore's GDP per capita was approximately $500. By 2023, it had skyrocketed to over $72,000, placing Singapore among the wealthiest nations in the world. This represents a staggering increase of over 14,000% in less than 6 decades. The speed of this economic transformation is unprecedented. Singapore achieved developed nation status in a single generation, a feat that took most Western countries centuries to accomplish. Between 1965 and 1990, Singapore's economy grew by an average of 9% annually, doubling the size of its economy every 8 years. Singapore's foreign reserves tell another impressive story. From virtually no reserves at independence, Singapore now boasts one of the world's largest foreign reserves per capita. As of 2023, its official foreign reserves stood at over $340 billion, providing a robust financial buffer against economic shocks. The nation's approach to public housing has resulted in one of the highest homeownership rates globally. Over 90% of Singaporeans own their homes, a stark contrast to many developed nations where homeownership rates are declining. This high rate of homeownership has been a key factor in wealth creation for the average Singaporean. In education, Singapore consistently ranks at or near the top in global assessments. In the 2018 Program for International Student Assessment, PISA, Singapore ranked second in reading, second in mathematics, and fourth in science out of 79 participating education systems. The country's students routinely outperform their peers from nations with much longer educational traditions. Singapore's port has grown to become one of the busiest in the world. In 2022, it handled over 37 million 20-foot equivalent units, TEUs, of cargo, making it the second busiest port globally in terms of shipping tonnage. This is a remarkable achievement for a country with no natural hinterland. The transformation of Changi Airport is equally impressive. From handling about 4 million passengers in 1981, Changi grew to serve over 68 million passengers in 2019, pre-COVID. It has been voted the world's best airport by Skytrax for 12 consecutive years, a testament to Singapore's commitment to excellence. In the realm of ease of doing business, Singapore has consistently ranked at or near the top of global indices. The World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index ranked Singapore second globally in 2020, highlighting the country's business-friendly environment and efficient regulatory framework. Singapore's low unemployment rate, typically hovering around 3%, is the envy of many nations. Even during global economic downturns, Singapore has managed to maintain relatively low unemployment, showcasing the resilience of its economy and the effectiveness of its labor policies. The country's approach to corruption has yielded remarkable results. Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index consistently ranks Singapore as one of the least corrupt nations globally, often placing it in the top 5. This clean image has been crucial in attracting foreign investment and talent. These numbers raise intriguing questions. How sustainable is Singapore's growth model in the face of global economic shifts? Can other nations replicate Singapore's rapid development, or is its success due to unique circumstances? What challenges does Singapore face in maintaining its impressive economic performance in an increasingly competitive global landscape? The statistics paint a picture of a nation that has defied expectations and rewritten the rules of economic development. They challenge us to reconsider what's possible in nation building and economic transformation. As we marvel at these figures, we must also consider the strategies and sacrifices that made them possible, and what lessons they hold for other ambitious nations around the world. Singapore's remarkable journey offers a wealth of insights for nations, policymakers, and business leaders worldwide. This final chapter examines the key lessons from Singapore's success story and explores potential future trajectories for this city-state. One of the most crucial lessons from Singapore's rise is the importance of adaptive governance. The country's leadership has consistently demonstrated an ability to anticipate global trends and pivot strategies accordingly. This forward-thinking approach, coupled with a willingness to make tough decisions, has been instrumental in Singapore's ability to stay ahead of the curve. The question arises, can other nations cultivate such adaptability in their governance structures, particularly in more diverse and populous countries? Another vital lesson is the power of long-term planning. Singapore's success is not the result of short-term fixes but of decades-long strategies meticulously executed. The country's ability to set and pursue ambitious goals, sometimes spanning generations, has allowed it to tackle complex challenges systematically. This raises the question, in an era of short political cycles and instant gratification, how can other nations foster a culture of long-term thinking? Singapore's emphasis on education and human capital development stands out as a key success factor. By investing heavily in its people, Singapore transformed its primary resource, its population, into a highly skilled workforce capable of driving a knowledge-based economy. This strategy underscores the potential of human capital as a driver of national development, particularly for resource-poor nations. The country's pragmatic approach to economic policy, blending free market principles with strategic state intervention, offers an alternative model to both laissez-faire capitalism and state-controlled economies. Singapore's experience suggests that the dichotomy between state intervention and free markets may be false, and that a nuanced, context-specific approach can yield superior results. Singapore's success in maintaining social harmony in a multi-ethnic society provides valuable lessons in managing diversity. Through policies promoting integration and meritocracy, Singapore has largely avoided the ethnic tensions that plague many diverse nations. However, this has come at the cost of some individual freedoms, raising questions about the balance between social harmony and personal liberty. Looking to the future, Singapore faces several challenges that will test its adaptive capabilities. An aging population and low birth rate threaten to strain the country's social systems and workforce. How Singapore navigates this demographic shift could provide valuable insights for other nations facing similar challenges. Climate change poses an existential threat to low-lying Singapore. The country's response to this global crisis, including its investments in clean energy and sustainable urban solutions, could position it as a leader in climate adaptation strategies for coastal cities worldwide. Geopolitically, Singapore must maintain its delicate balancing act between major powers, particularly as tensions between the United States and China intensify. The country's ability to preserve its neutrality and relevance in this shifting landscape will be crucial for its continued prosperity. Economically, Singapore must continue to innovate to stay competitive. As other nations catch up in areas where Singapore once held clear advantages, the country needs to identify and develop new niches. Its push into fields like biotechnology, artificial intelligence, and fintech indicates a recognition of this need for continuous reinvention. The sustainability of Singapore's growth model in an era of increasing global competition and resource constraints remains an open question. Can the country maintain its high standard of living and economic growth rates in the face of these challenges? As we conclude our exploration of Singapore's transformation, we're left with profound questions about the nature of development and governance in the 21st century. Singapore's journey challenges conventional wisdom about what's possible in nation building and offers alternative pathways to prosperity. Yet, it also raises important questions about the trade-offs between economic success and other societal values. The story of Singapore is far from over. As the nation continues to evolve and adapt to new challenges, the world will be watching closely. The lessons from its past and the strategies for its future will undoubtedly continue to provide valuable insights for nations, leaders, and thinkers around the globe grappling with the complexities of development in our rapidly changing world.